Hello there. Oh wow. Oh, it looks so dark. Anyway, I was just scrolling through Facebook, and the past few days I've kind of been observing how some of the people I really like following on Facebook are people that share almost like a journal entry, and they share stuff all the time, and they share just like little thoughts that they have in their head and whatever they're doing that moment or whatever's going on that day, and they just like post and post and post and post and post. And some people it's like annoying, but some people I really enjoy that because I get to know them and I get a sense of who they are, and it's like this virtual kind of one-sided friendship. And then I think about how I run all these pages, and I really share more of my professional self in a way. A few years ago, when my Facebook kind of like exploded, um, I was very mindful of what I shared because one, it's very public, and two, I just wanted to say, okay, I only have an audience's attention for this much time, and I want to use it to talk about important issues and things that I think people should be passionate about and paying attention to, not just like, oh, what I ate for dinner. So, I share more like that on Instagram. I try to post every day on Instagram, and it's a lot more personal. I share more of my personal story. It's a different platform, and it feels a little less public, even though obviously anyone can follow me on there too. And so I've been thinking about, how I want to share more of my inner world, my thoughts. Like I have been spending a lot of time alone. I go to work and then I come home and then I'm by myself. And then wherever I go, I'm by myself. Well, with my puppy. He's up here sleeping. Puppy. Uh, and so, but there are algorithms on Facebook and whatnot. So I was thinking, I don't necessarily want to post all the time everything I'm saying, but I do want to challenge myself to do like a once a week personal post and just keep track of these little thoughts that go in my head, like funny things or random thoughts or wondering. And, snapshots of my week. Like I use my phone camera all the time, but I don't really post it on Facebook. You wouldn't even like know what I've been doing sometimes according to Facebook because I'll mostly share articles or events that I am passionate about. So anyway, I was scrolling through and then I see someone's post like, this is a meme, you should share more of what goes on in your head. And I was like, okay, let's do it. So if you've been following here, I've been sharing more on YouTube. It's also a different platform. When I go live on Facebook, it's really exciting in some ways that it can get shared out a bunch of times and a lot of people can see it. But then I almost feel this pressure to say something meaningful and important that's going to matter. And on here on YouTube, I feel a little more casual. I know there's no one watching right now. And that's kind of more safe to just put myself out there, and then people have to go out of their way to actually watch my video. So the people that really, on some level like me or care about what I have to say. On Facebook, it's like a community center. That's how I see it. I like visualize like a virtual marketplace or the downtown or maybe a park where traditionally people would gather and just be like, oh, I see that person there in my community. Oh, I see them over there, they're in my community. But that doesn't mean that they actually like would go out of their way to visit with that person or listen to what they have to say. So I feel like the stipulation of having to follow me on YouTube, if you want to get subscriptions to say when I go live right away, it's a few steps removed. And so if people are going to actually like get their email and click on it, or voluntarily go to my YouTube channel to see what I'm doing and talking about, then they actually probably are more open to listening to me ramble like this. So yeah, I'm just gonna share a little bit. I had an interesting week. I had a major unexpected event happen yesterday at my job regarding like bureaucracy and systems and officialness. And I almost wasn't able to stay. I almost wasn't able to continue this job right now. I could have, I do intend to come back later, and I'm only here as a temporary employee right now. But it was kind of a shock. I literally like packed up everything and was ready to hit the road. And then I went in today and, to kind of like take my leave. And we were able to come to another conclusion and a solution that allows me to continue my time here. So I took everything back out from my car and put it in the house. I haven't fully unpacked it, but it was definitely a lesson. It was important to reflect on that. On the one hand, I was heartbroken because I really, really appreciate being here, and I really know that I can make a big difference with these students that I'm working with. And I know that I'm here for a reason, and that I am creating some kind of ripple, planting a seed while being here that maybe will last the rest of my life, you know? We never know how long that will be. But I do feel really committed to this community here. And so it was really disappointing and shocking and frustrating, especially something that was based on like the system, it was something like basically out of my control. It was nothing that reflected the quality of my work or my ability to show up or the desire of the company to have me here. It was just pure bureaucracy that wouldn't allow me to stay here. And at the same time, I have a traveler spirit, and part of me was kind of excited to hit the open road and just see what comes and go see friends and you just figure out what comes next. And I was already planting seeds for other places to go and continue to be of service. So then I went in today. My car was packed up. I was ready to go, and we were able to come to a solution that allows me to stay. Changing some of the bureaucracy, I'll be doing exactly the same job I was doing before. And, so now I'm staying. So there's definitely kind of, it was like this shift in momentum that I felt doing that. And I'm glad to be staying. It's another month or so that I'll be here, and I'm totally capable of doing that. I know that it's really hard work in an emotional sense. It's not easy, but it's really fulfilling and rewarding at the same time. Like I have fun a lot of the time. I haven't spent time with children or teens very much in the past many years. And so it feels really good to get to, I go in and just like color in my mandala coloring book. Like sometimes the kids color, sometimes they don't, but it really helps me. And I think it's more comfortable for the kid to not be like, so I'm your therapist, I'm your school counselor, let me, see what's going on with you. And I just kind of like color and just chit chat, especially because I'm just starting out with a lot of the kids. So I'm really just getting to know them and building rapport. And I have Sculpey, so we make some cool little Sculpey creations, and I have watercolors, and it's really nice to be able to express with them in that way. And today, actually, I have some cards. There's this practice of pulling cards that a lot of people engage with regularly these days. And my friend helped me understand it because these girls were calling it, like, they were really curious. They wanted to learn witchcraft. And I was like, I don't really call it witchcraft. At the same time, some of my herbalist friends are really happy to be called witches and work with plants and make little potions for healing. But I was like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble because there's a lot of like Christian families here, and I don't want there to be this rumor that their therapist is doing witchcraft with them. So my friend helped me find a better term for it, which is divination. And divination is something that many cultures have used over time, like the I Ching. And, Turkish people would read like the coffee grinds, and different cultures would read tea leaves. It's just an idea of reading signs in the universe to understand a message from the spirit realm. And it's actually really helpful with the teenage girls because it creates a context. It's like, okay, well, this one's going to represent your past. This is your present. This is your future. And something as simple as that allows them to create reflection about themselves and what's going on in their life. Like, okay, well, what can this card represent? Oh, I think it's talking about this friend or that friend. It's interesting, because I haven't been around kids that much, to see in some ways how their minds work. Like when they interpret the cards, it's much more literal. It's like, oh, this represents my friend Tom. And in my interpretation, it's more like, oh, this represents like someone or like the type of person that's doing this. And so it's just interesting to observe that. But it's also, it doesn't matter because what they're doing the reading for is to help figure out their own lives. So whatever it means to them is right. And so that's what's nice about using that tool. And yeah, so that's one thing going on. What else? Yeah, even just like I was clicking through my Facebook memories from a few years ago, and even going back to like 10 years ago, because I've been on Facebook that long, and looking at my own mind, how my own younger mind would interact with social media. Same thing. Like I used to share all the time random things, posts, like when I was in college, just, oh, this homework is so hard, or can't wait for the party this weekend, something like that. Like I would share these now I reflect on them as being kind of mundane. At the same time, that was my reality. That was my world, being on the campus and telling my friends who were on the campus what was going on with me that week. And that's how we were communicating. But also we were adolescents, and there wasn't texting and Snapchatting and Instagram. I don't think I had a smartphone in college. I remember texting with my friends, but I don't think we like could send each other pictures. We didn't have phones on our cameras. That was the days of like the Razor phones, if you knew them, are like really thin, but they're flip phones, and then started to come out with these phones like the Sidekick, where you would have like a flip out keyboard that you could type on. And but it was really different. And now, I'm talking to these 12-year-old girls that are texting with their crushes. And I was working with this one girl today, and she's like, "Well, I need to talk to him about our, if we're dating or not." And I was like, she's like, "I'll text him." I'm like, "Doesn't he go to school here?" And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't want to ask him in person. I need to text him." And I was like, wow, major red flag, because if these youth are literally not developing the capacity to sit in front of someone and have a conversation about their feelings, that's alarming, because that's a difficult skill for everyone to develop, having difficult conversations, being in confrontation, being in conflict, being in tension, being vulnerable. So that definitely made me realize I want to encourage the students that I'm working with to practice that, to share that with me. It kind of makes me wonder, like, wow, what if I was texting with the students? Would they tell me more about what's going on? Because sometimes I'll kind of have an idea of what's going on with the student from the referral from the teacher or the principal, but I'll allow the student to kind of share that with me or not. And at the same time, it's also a matter of them getting to know me and trusting me and feeling safe to do that. But it's something that I want to address and kind of invite them to like practice talking about what's difficult. So it's really, it's really humbling to do this work, and it's really teaching me a lot. I don't know if the kids realize how much I'm learning, just logistically, like facts, but also, yeah, I mean, I'm just like kind of getting a picture of what their world looks like. And as they grow up, that will be their reality. It is so purely connected to technology. So, okay, well, I've kind of been rambling for a while, and there was like two people watching and they stopped watching. So I'm gonna just carry on with my evening, but I'll try to do better about doing daily updates on here. It's very strange. In some ways, I'm not shy at all, and in other ways, I'm kind of like, I'll share what I share, but then other things I'll get stuck in my head about it. And I'm not like a perfectionist or anything, but it's almost like it's like this hesitance to share certain things. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like deeper than my conscious mind, because if this were like a question and answer session and people could ask me things, I would totally answer. I'm not like intimidated. I'm not nervous to share anything about my life. But there's certain things that I'll just watch myself be like, oh, I'll do that later. I'll share that later. I'll talk about that later. And this imaginary later, who knows if it will ever come. But even just like writing books, writing my travel stories, they'll go on in my head a lot, and yet I don't put it out there that much. It's like this procrastination that my brain likes to do. So maybe I'll try one of those, go live for 30 days and really try to hold myself to it. Okay, take care, have a good night.